Hey, how's it going? So as I mentioned in my last video, which you can actually find right up here, I was recently loaned a beautiful Fuji GFX 100 megapixel medium format camera by work. And I actually used it for the first time with a photo walk with my very good friend and YouTuber and Instagrammer, Kyler Steele, as we went on a photo walk through Dumbo, Brooklyn. The photos I captured blew me away. The detail, the dynamic range, and just the overall experience of using this beautiful camera really made me want to pick it up, but it's $6,000. And again, I have it on loan, so I could just kind of use it when needed. But here are some of those photos I first took with this beautiful GFX 100 camera on the photo walk with Kyler Steele in Dumbo, Brooklyn. Incredible photos. So I knew that I had an upcoming trip to Ithaca, New York. Ithaca is about a 4-hour drive north of New York City. It's actually absolutely beautiful up there. They have tons of national parks, tons of waterfalls, gorges. It's the phrase for Ithaca is gorge. It's quite funny. We were up there for a wedding, but we were also up there to check out the beautiful fall foliage that happens the same time, around this time every year, October, November. And I brought that camera with me because I, one, wanted to document my adventure in Ithaca, and two, get some beautiful photos of upstate New York and the ever-changing foliage. So the first park that we went to on the day we had free was Lucifer Falls. I don't know if that's the name of the park. The park is Robert something, but in the park is something called Lucifer Falls. It is this beautiful 2-mile hike through the beautiful countryside woods along like a river or creek. And then you end up at this area that they've actually built up, steps and all of that, but it's this enormous, beautiful, giant waterfall that dumps all of this water right into the creek that we followed to get there. And right in that little area, you just have so many unique things to take photos of. They have stone bridges, obviously the waterfall, the beautiful foliage, but also just that we were basically on the side of the mountain. So I took a bunch of photos along the walk, and then when we got to Lucifer Falls, that are just absolutely awesome. It really shows how amazing with dynamic range and detail this Fuji GFX 100 megapixel medium format camera really is. I mean, it took incredible images, some of the most detailed images I've ever taken outside of film, because I have shot medium format before, but only in film versions with like my old Pentax 6.7, my Mamiya RZ645, and then my Mamiya 645 that I still have. So before we get to the next set of photos, which are at Taughannock Waterfall, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong and I apologize, I wanted to kind of go over a couple of things about the camera. So this is Fuji's premier medium format camera. There's only one other one above this, which is I believe the 100S. That one is extremely expensive, but this one is priced at about $6,000, which is a lot for a camera, but for a medium format camera like a Hasselblad, a Phase 1, you're going to be paying upwards of $10,000 just for the body. And the great thing about this camera is the body. It harks very similar to like almost like a DSLR, like mirrorless like camera that you would just kind of shoot on a regular basis. I mean, compared to some of the other medium format cameras out there that are big boxes that you can change and they're great, this is literally just kind of almost like a run and gun medium format camera. I mean, we have an interchangeable lens system that shows off, you know, there's a bunch of great GFX lenses that they make. This just so happens to be the 63mm 2.8. The 110 is like, that is the portrait lens right there. But as you can see right here, you can see that big, beautiful medium format sensor. And you just kind of put it together, like I said, like a regular mirrorless camera and regular like DSLR camera. I mean, look how tiny this is. I mean, it's literally no bigger than my XH2, which I'm using right here. This thing is just, it's perfect to just like walk around with. That's why I took it with me on my hiking adventure, because I could put this around my arm, strap it around my shoulder, and be absolutely fine. Up top, you have a couple of digital dials for like ISO and shutter speed. And then on the other side, you have a PASM button. And then here, the great thing about is you have this articulating screen right here. So you can get hip shots. You can take photos like this and get those hip shots. And it also articulates out like this, so you could shoot at the hip. So it's got this great articulating screen, and on the back you got the regular buttons, but it's just, it's such a portable, wonderful medium format camera. But anyway, it's a phenomenal camera. If you can afford it, get it. Also, if it's good for your type of work. So next we headed to Taughannock Falls. Again, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I'm sorry. It's just, it's a beautiful waterfall. It's this giant, almost like probably like 6-story waterfall that's surrounded by lush forest and beautiful stone walls. And I'm going to show also, besides the photos I took there with the Fuji GFX 100, I'm also going to show something I don't really ever show off photo wise, is the photos I got with my DJI Mini Pro 3, the newer DJI Mini camera that has come out, that has the, you know, the camera that does this. So you could shoot like TikToks and portrait mode. So this is just us kind of hanging out at the falls and just getting some beautiful, gorgeous photos with this Fuji camera. So after we were done with that, we headed back to the city of Ithaca, and they were actually having their fall festival. And it was around dusk time, getting closer to like almost like blue hour. It was also overcast, so there wasn't really that much golden light. So I grabbed my Fuji X100V, my run and gun, my everyday carry, something I use when I'm walking about and I don't want to take really high-end professional photos, but I want to have good photos. I can't say enough great things about this camera. Even though a long time ago I said I didn't like it, this camera's the best. So we walked through Ithaca, and like I said, it was golden hour, but it was more overcast, so it was almost like an early blue hour, and they were having their big fall festival with rides and everything, and we just kind of walked around the city of Ithaca. We got some donuts, we got some lunch, we went to a couple of the shops, but the thing I love about Ithaca is it's like a very small city, so there's a lot of great unique lighting situations, like neon lights, which I love. Neon lights. I'm trying to do a whole coffee table book of neon lights in New York City. And we just walked around, and I just snapped off photos of neon signs, some of the closed down rides, and just kind of walked around, finishing our day out there in Ithaca before we headed back to our Airbnb. So the next morning, before we headed back to New York City, the Airbnb we were staying in was very like upstate New York. It had a very like kind of like woodsy kind of feel. We were surrounded by just cornfields and woods and no one really close by, but I just loved the architecture of the upstate New York house look. So I took the Fuji GFX 100 and kind of walked through the home and then the outside of the home, and just took some photos with it. And I gotta say, I really love the photos I got, especially inside where it's still kind of dark and the sun's shining through the window a little. And then when we were outside, again, it was overcast, so it wasn't bright and the colors were a little bit muted, though I raised it up a little in post because I like the colors, but just like, it has that medium format look, that beautiful separation and depth of field. It looked really great, and I really love the architectural photos I got from the camera as well. This camera could do it all: portrait, commercial, industrial, architectural, landscape. It's a phenomenal all-around camera, though it is slow at times, so it's not meant for sports. Everything else, it can knock out of the park. So as we headed home, we were driving down interstate and we were passing through the mountains, and all around us were just the colorful colors of fall. So I pulled over and just threw the drone up in the air just to get some fall foliage photos with the drone. And then there was also a nice wooded path that led to a creek where there were a lot of people fly fishing. So while the drone was flying up in the air taking photos, I then went off and took photos down the path of the water, and just really that whole area and everything was very like country living, outdoor lifestyle, stuff like that. Also, I should note that I was flying the drone not by itself. I know it sounded like that. You get what I mean. So here are the photos I took in my little walk to the creek, and then I'm also going to show again some of the photos I took with the drone because they just look awesome. So that was our time upstate, and my time in Ithaca in upstate New York with the Fuji GFX 100. Now, final thoughts on this camera. It's incredible. The photos you get out of it are mind-blowingly detailed, great with dynamic range, great with color representation and contrast. It is a phenomenal camera. Is it for everyone? Absolutely not. This is meant for professionals who are in the studio, who are into landscape, commercial photography, and stuff like that. Would I get one? Maybe down the road. I really would have to start working more in studio, commercial wise and portrait wise, to justify getting it. A lot of the cameras that Fuji make are really sharp. This just happens to be a large medium format, high megapixel camera. It's fantastic, but do I need it right now? Not at all. I love the H2S. I'm planning on getting the H2, which is a 40 megapixel camera, and I don't use it for enough that it would be, if I was to buy it, would just be because I could afford it at that point. But would I recommend it to people every day? No, I would recommend something like the H2 and also maybe like the X100V. But for professionals that are in the field that work in commercial, portrait, and professional landscape photography, get this camera. It's incredible. The dynamic range alone is perfect, but the megapixels are fantastic. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you love the photos. Let me know if you have any questions about the camera in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them. You could check out more of the photos on my Instagram and some of the photos on my TikTok. Please make sure to follow me on there. Remember to like this video, subscribe, remember to just shoot, and I will see you in Disney World, because that's where I'll be next week with my Fuji X100V and my film camera. We're going to make a video while we're out there too. I'll see you in the next one. Later.